All right, welcome everybody to SuperHuman Entrepreneur. I'm your host, Matt, and I'm here with the legend, Seth Bolt. Thanks for coming on, man.
Oh, dude, thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. We're actually in Jacksonville right now. NeedToBreathe, his band is performing in the background. Beautiful day. We thought we were gonna get rained out, but worked out pretty well. So it's a special show today. Obviously, you know, we're gonna be talking about some topics that are near and dear to Seth's heart. But before we begin, we actually were able to poll the audience. And I know I was talking to you about this, Seth. And we polled the audience and we asked them, we said, what would you want Seth and I to do if we could, you know, just go off the top, crazy, whatever, just throw some things out. And I didn't know what we were gonna get, but I wanna read a couple because they're pretty amusing. Number one, Seth and Matt do a hot dog eating contest. You a big fan of that?
Not of hot dogs, but of eating, yes.
Eating, yes, absolutely. Seth and Matt jam out together. Obviously, I don't hold a candle. That's not gonna happen. I'm gonna make Seth look really bad. Seth and Matt jump off Dames Point Bridge. So now people are trying to kill us.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Seth and Matt do the gallon challenge. Have you ever done the gallon challenge?
I don't know, but it sounds like people definitely want to see us barf.
or jump off of really high buildings and barf. Okay, so not really a good track record right now. But then there were three that stuck out to Seth and I, and Seth actually ultimately picked the one. Seth and Matt do a dance off. I think Seth was a little scared. Were you scared of that a little bit? Scared of me a little bit?
I think usually when I hear dance off, a little fear creeps into my mind.
Okay.
But.
Me too. 100%. I don't know what I would do. Seth and Matt pose for a cool band photo. That's kind of right up there.
Seth I've got a lot of ideas.
Okay, I know you got. I've seen the pictures, man. I've seen your stern faces that you make, and
it's just that I've been a part of so many horrible photo shoots for bands where you're getting directed. They're like, all right, now everyone look a different direction, as if that's something you would naturally do.
Right, in the sky, there's a bird. Seth and Matt do a sing along. That might have worked. That might have worked too. Yeah. But ultimately, Seth picked pose for a cool band photo. So we're gonna let you take the reins here.
I'll direct.
And we're gonna direct cool band photos right now. Okay.
Okay.
So where do we start?
Okay. Well, we need a camera. We got that.
Yeah.
So you want to just set up and do it right here?
Yeah, let's just do it right here. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's start with the looking off.
Okay.
That one's
all right.
like
looking off.
Kind of the most cliche.
Okay.
Like,
all right.
We're unaware of the camera.
Am I serious? Are we serious right now?
Oh, you're very serious.
Very serious.
Like,
okay.
You're taking yourself really seriously. That's the
Get
key.
in the zone.
Like, it's all about you.
All right. What are you thinking about when you do these pictures? Like,
I'm thinking about looking out over a sea of people.
Sea of people. Okay. Am I looking away from you?
Like you don't care at all.
Like, okay, just.
Yeah, you need to look
hard.
The more away you can look.
The more away. So
you need to look over there. That
I'm
dumpster.
looking. Okay, I'm looking there. Okay, you're looking the other way.
Yeah. Okay, we got that.
All right, got that. All right.
Okay, now, so we probably like stagger. We probably have to stand up and do this.
All right.
So,
all right. Okay.
There's gonna be one where like, let's see, you face that way.
Okay, I'm gonna face this way. Like this?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm gonna face
all
this
right.
way.
Okay.
And like, our faces will eclipse one another, right?
Okay. Yeah. I like it.
Oh yeah. Two minds.
Don't smile though, right?
Two minds, one mission. Right?
This is awesome. Okay, what else? You got one more in there? One more in the tank?
Let's see. You can do.
You don't ever do any of this, like nothing. That's weird, right?
Yes.
Nothing.
Yeah. So I think what happened was like the boy bands around the turn of the millennium. They did a lot of like, like hanging out over each other, like this kind of thing.
But not tough.
So then there's a period where like you didn't really do that. There's
right. Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Right.
Quite as much.
There's space. You got the space going on. Okay.
Although they for the press photos, they gotta get your faces so close together that they're always like,
just
right there.
These are now on camera, by the way. We can never escape these. That's awesome. That's awesome. That's cool, man. So, all kidding aside, thank you, by the way. That was awesome. So, starting, you live a very interesting life. I mean, let's just put it that way. Like, a lot of people look at you and they see you touring with NeedToBreathe. You're the bassist. You're a founding member of NeedToBreathe, and a lot of people know you as that. But actually, what you've created even before the band is pretty profound. Like, I was looking at what you created, and it's really neat to see where you've come from and where you are. And I think some people look at your life and say, traveling in a band and living the life. And I want to talk a little bit about some challenges that you've had along the way. But I was really impressed because being an entrepreneur has actually been in your past, even when you were a young guy, just trying to find your way.
Yeah.
And you started your own music production company, right? Is that so?
Yeah.
Plantation Studios.
Recording studio.
Little recording studio.
Yeah.
You signed your first artist. You were 16 years old.
Yeah. Signed
your first artist. You've written a book with Chandler, your brother. Shout out to Chandler, by the way.
Yeah.
And that type of stuff, doesn't necessarily come naturally to everybody at 16 years old. So, what brought that on for you? Like, have you always been creative like that?
Yeah. And it really helped. I mean, I grew up on a small vegetable farm, so work ethic was always something that was just kind of forced onto me. I had to earn my keep. And my dad is a builder, so I got to watch him build things every weekend. Every Saturday was a work day, so we would build stuff around the farm and maintain things, and it was just cool to see so much come to life so quickly, and just to watch how quickly you could actually take something from an idea and materialize it, implement that, and at the same time invest creativity and love into the thing that you're building, and then watch that serve some sort of purpose, either for the family or for other people. We had a vegetable farm, so we were always growing a lot more than we needed for our family, but it was an opportunity for my mom and for the family to give food away to people who needed it, and to support our neighbors. And it was a great community event too. Just having neighbors come by and shuck corn, and that's where I got to hear so many great stories about what was going on, and really experience community in its purest sense, and it was unadulterated because it was before everyone had a smartphone that they were looking down at all the time.
Right.
And just a priceless time where I got to stretch those muscles of building things with my dad. And so my dad and I, we built the home that my mom and dad live in now. We built that together when I was a teenager. And then later in life, when I was around 30, we built the Treehouse together again, and that's kind of what started this whole Treehouse side of my life. And I think just growing up with the confidence that I know, like, okay, if I want to build something and I'm willing to invest the sweat into it, then something will come of that. And the same thing with the music. Trying to make it in music is almost like it's a long shot. I mean, it really is like shooting for the stars, and it takes so many things, and it takes having the right people around you, and me being lucky enough to be in the band with the guys I'm in the band with. There's nothing I can take credit for, but I think all of that, I think the mindset and the growth mindset is probably the thing that my parents gave me, the work ethic, and just the idea that you can continually improve. You can get better with each project, with each day. And that's been inspiring, and just kind of been what has set me on this trajectory to just kind of be a high output guy who's working on a lot of things and has a lot of dreams, and is just kind of taking it day by day. And it's kind of hard to believe. I'm in a rock band and I build tree houses. I sound like the luckiest
man of the year
in the world.
That's awesome. Married your dream girl, built the treehouse. I mean, but you know, obviously, like, there were things instilled in you from a young age that gave you the ability to kind of think outside the box a little bit, right? And think, you know, because it, from the outside, obviously, like, we look at highlight reels of people's lives and we say, oh, you know, they just got there because magic. But obviously, like, you went through things to get to where you are. What would you say was a challenge that comes to your head that you had to get through that made you who you are today?
Yeah. Where do we start? I think
I
can think of a couple.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Number one, just being from a really small town, it's like, while I had confidence in my work ethic, I didn't have confidence necessarily in my speaking ability, or, you know, I had that, like, really thick Southern accent. I remember when we first left the South to play music outside the South, we were thinking to ourselves, like, we were afraid to speak because we thought people were going to laugh at us.
Yeah.
Just because you can't not sound Southern to people in Wisconsin, you know, but they loved it. And so I think we learned some lessons early on about being ourselves, and those kind of, I think that naturally just being forced to, we were kind of in a position where, you know, okay, well, the record label's saying, like, write songs for radio and to be the biggest band in the world. And really the songs that we wanted to write at the time didn't, you know, maybe they wanted to be that, but they didn't sound like that, because it was more of an authentic take on the instruments that we grew up with in the mountains of South Carolina, which were banjo and mandolin and all these things. All the things that everyone loves about Mumford and Sons, we were doing years before, but they were like, this will never work.
Wow.
And so we didn't lean on that at first. And we came back around to it. We were finally like, we're just going to do what we want to do.
That's awesome.
And that kind of is that authenticity is what people connected to the most, musically and lyrically. And that helped us really overcome a lot of the challenges in the music industry of trying to stand out. You know, how do you stand out? The best way is to be yourself. And maybe it's true for business too.
Absolutely.
So what led me to the tree houses was just the staying in 10,000 hotel rooms and realizing how boring every single one of them, most of them are. You know what I mean? It's just cookie cutter. It was kind of designed on paper. Things don't really lay out that well. It's like the cheapest piece of art that you can find, that you can buy in bulk.
The bowl of fruit
like,
on the wall.
So I saw a huge opportunity to be creative, and put that on display. But again, that was just sort of an authentic take. I was like, I just want to do my version of this. And then in pursuing both, there has been a lot of challenges. I think my confidence has been something that I've watched blossom tremendously since getting married 2.5 years ago. Also not really understanding, it was only after that I had a real perspective of just how lonely I was during my 20s. And so overcoming the loneliness, gaining confidence to actually take bigger chances is what led me to, you know, me and my wife to build 4 more tree houses in Charleston and take a big chance and basically, like, just push all the chips in and say, we believe that this is the future of travel. We believe that people, given the choice, want an experience where they can be intentional with each other. They can experience nature. They can still be surrounded by comfort and sort of a luxury setting, yet have time away from the cell phone and the notifications that are constant, and get a chance to really just be human again, and not be distracted, because so much of what we do as professionals requires time where we're undistracted. And so the treehouse, in a way, was an answer to one of the challenges that I felt as a creative person in the band, because I knew I needed time to get away from distractions. That was my number one obstacle. Being distracted, having so many things basically chew away at my time, because I was reacting to all the requests that were coming in, all the comments that were coming in, everything, and I just got in the way of my work. So being able to shut everything down, put my phone away, and just allow my mind to, and my spirit to, like, process some of the tough things I've been experiencing, and actually take those to the finish line to where I'm like, okay, I think I know what to think about this now, and I can process it and move forward. That in and of itself, the Treehouse was a huge way that I was able to basically have a safe place to go to sort things out and to figure out how I was gonna attack the challenges that I was experiencing at that time.
So it was a place where it was a retreat. It was a sanctuary where you could go and clear your mind. And when you're out on the road, when you're doing things in daily life, are there techniques, are there tools that you use to center your mind again? Because I know a lot of people, I deal with that every single day. We all deal with the ability to, like for instance, I'll wake up sometimes and if I don't have my phone on airplane mode, I immediately look at my phone and I start digging into somebody requested something from me, or like a comment or something like that, and my mind automatically shifts there. So I've learned that I have to protect myself in certain ways. And one way that I protect myself is turning that phone on airplane mode. So when I get up, I set my mind right. Are there any things that you can share with people that you do? Because you have millions of people wanting your attention, probably all the time. And so what do you do to like calm that side down, focus on the important things, but obviously deliver what you're doing within the band and your career with building tree houses, etc.
Yeah, I really wish that there was a way to respond to everyone.
Yeah.
And I keep thinking like there's going to come a time when I've got significant time off or something, and I can just go through and reply to everyone.
Yeah.
Because I feel like everyone who supported my music deserves a reply.
Yeah.
At the same time, if I did that on a daily basis, I wouldn't get anything done.
Right.
I wouldn't be making the music that got the people interested in me in the first place.
Right.
And I wouldn't be building places where people can go and benefit from the time away.
Yeah.
So it's pretty tough, but I've heard a couple of little things recently that kind of connected with me, because it was kind of the way that we fall into doing it naturally.
Yeah.
But if someone doesn't take the 10 minutes to kind of do their homework and make sure that the request that they're sending you is actually something that's feasible, then you're not on the hook for the 10 minutes it's going to take to figure out, how do I say no to this?
That's good. That's good.
And and stuff like that.
Yeah, I love it though. 'Cause I think it's you're right. Being able to step back and evaluate sometimes. Is this realistic? Is this something that I've been called to or agreed to, etc. But it kind of evaluating our emotions in a way, I think is so important. When we're in our daily lives like that.
And I'll expand upon that too. Like the biggest challenge for me as like a creative has always been time management. And I just recently read an essay on the maker's schedule versus the manager's schedule.
Okay.
And it made so much sense. Have you heard about this?
No, I haven't.
So 2 different schedules. Obviously, creative people have their own way of doing things, and like most managers know that, but they don't really understand the way that the psychological motivations behind it and how to sort of support a creative person. So like if you have a creative person on your team, this is a really good thing to hear. If you're a manager, it's a great thing to hear, because you'll always have some creatives on your team. Yeah. But a manager's schedule is an hourly based, blocks of 1 hour, 2 hour, and a manager's pretty great at just being like shifting from, all right, I just dealt with that, now I'm going to this direct report, now I'm doing to this issue, now I'm putting out this fire. But a maker generally doesn't do anything, doesn't create anything of value in an hour. We need a whole morning, we need a whole afternoon, which is why we stay up late.
So true.
Nobody
Night owls,
us
man.
until 2 or 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. Like that was traditionally where I would find my time to create, was after everyone would leave me alone. Nothing could interrupt me, I couldn't interrupt myself. And that made a huge difference. And so the lesson in the essay is that as a manager, if you try to put a meeting in the middle of a creative person's morning, they're going to not be inspired to dive into anything fully, because they know they're going to get interrupted. And then after the meeting, there's not enough time before lunch to dive into anything, so it kind of wastes their morning. And some CEOs who are also creatives kind of structure their day to where they put those meetings at the very end of the day, so they can wake up, create, get in that space, not have to like think about, all right, am I prepared for this meeting? Am I prepared for this this thing? It just can be compartmentalized towards the end of the day, and they've found great results with the creatives who work for them, the creators that work for them, because they're no longer being like, oh, we'll just throw this meeting here in the middle of their afternoon. You know, now it's like, when does this work for you? I know you're gonna be creating all day, and then kind of let them guide it. And you end up getting better work out of your people who are creative people.
Absolutely. Have you done any of those tests, like the Colby test, or what is it, disc profile, where it actually tells you like what type of operator you are? Like if you're like a supporter, so disc is like driver, supporter, analytic, things like that. Have you done anything like that before?
Not the analytic.
Okay, not the analytic. Not that.
But my wife
Isn't that important to be able to point that out?
Right.
But your wife's an analytic?
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys balance each other really well.
We do.
Okay, that's really cool. And that's why she's managing.
I live in the clouds, and she lives on the ground. I catch the vision, and she like says, "Yeah, we can do that. No, we can't do that." It's a beautiful. It's a beautiful relationship.
Oh, totally. And so, is she a night owl?
No.
Okay. So do you find times where you want to stay up late and like create, and she's like, no, babe, I'm gonna go to bed at 9:30?
We do, although I prefer being on the same schedule.
For sure.
Because when we first got married, she has a journalism background, so she was working for NBC.
Yeah. She
was like programming the 6 a.m. news, and so she would wake up at 2.
Okay.
Around the time that I was kind of winding down my sessions, I'd like help her make lunch and send her off to work, and then I'd go to sleep. But we didn't really see each other much. So, I'm learning how to take that night block where I wasn't interrupted and just create that environment myself by turning off my phone like you do. By basically just not scheduling any appointments until the afternoon, so that I've got my morning and I've got that time, but I'm not on like the college kid schedule of being up all night and then waking up to like a whole half day's worth of information and news and requests, and be like,
yeah, for sure. One of the cool things that I saw in one of the Boult House videos for the tree houses was you put your phone, there's a box where your phones go.
Oh yeah.
And I thought that was really cool, because in the video, for those of you who haven't seen it, you need to watch the video, because it's just adorable, man. Like, you guys are in the video, you're enjoying the tree house, but you put the phones in the box, and I thought that was so cool, because you're not only escaping into the woods, into this majestic place, but you're intentionally valuing your time enough to where you're saying, you know, even if my mom texts me for something, like, the phone's in the box right now. And obviously, like, you make specific time for that, but are you guys very intentional about doing things like that? Like shutting down the phone, you know, separating from the world, doing things to where you can like have that time to cultivate relationship and bond?
Yeah, absolutely. Everything about the treehouse is intentional, and I think there's a lot of things about my relationship with my wife that are intentional. And it's intentionality's like a superpower.
It's everything.
Like,
man.
if you can have intentionality and you put it to work for you, then you create the environment that you need, and you create the boundaries that you need, and you create the conversations that need to happen. And without intentionality, it's just busyness. And I heard this too the other day, that busyness is lazy thinking and indiscriminate action.
Wow.
But when you look at our culture, people are busy and they kind of wear it like, you know, like a mantle, like,
totally.
Oh, I'm busy, I'm important. You know, but really, couldn't be further from the truth. Like, what do you intentionally do that really invests in other people or invests in yourself, make the world a better place? That intention is key. So with we call it a 5-star mobile phone resort. It's this little box, you flip the lid, and it says like, even your cell phone needs a break or something. The idea is you just power it down and put it in the box and come back to it when you're done with your time. But it's a good boundary so that it's not just there, because if it's there, you just pick it up, and
100%.
Before you know it, you're in the cloud and you're not in the treehouse. And you're missing it.
Absolutely.
So it was a soft prompt. We didn't want to be like a hard, like, no technology kind of thing. Because sometimes you need it for emergencies and things like that. But but a good way to just remind people, hey, put your phones away, and like you will lose track of time.
Yes.
You will have great conversation.
Yes.
You'll have fun. That was part of the video. Like we're having fun because that's what we do when we're there, and we want to show people like, look, you don't have to go on vacation and think like, where are we gonna eat? What should we do? Should we go to this place? Should we go to that place?
Yeah.
What time?
Yeah.
Let's schedule this. Let's schedule that. Like
you're there.
Put all that on pause.
Yeah.
And kind of with the treehouse thing, like be a kid again, where you're not worrying about all that stuff.
Totally. When we're on vacation, that's what we feed off of, is because I feel like my whole life is planned. So when we go on vacation, it's like I don't want to plan anything. I want it to be random, you know? So that's a lot of our vacations are like that. And that's one thing I love about the treehouse is like you enter into a place, you know? Like I even think like even when you go on vacation, like if you stay in a hotel or you stay somewhere, it's almost like you're still, it can be a great thing, but at the same time, you're still kind of in an environment of like doing. Whereas if you go out into the woods and you stay in this majestic place like you guys have, called the Majestic, right?
Right.
Your VIP treehouse. Yeah. It's an escape, you know? And that's really what I hope everybody out there is hearing is it's so important to have that place where you can get away, where you can create, where you can be at peace, where you can create bonds. And one of the coolest things about the treehouse to me is that you built that with your dad. So it's not just a regular hammer and nails. I feel like you hammered love into that place, you know? You hammered heart into that place. And you can almost feel it through your videos. But talk a little bit about that process. You know, you said you grew up building things with your dad, and then you decided to build this treehouse with your dad. Mm-hmm. Does building things with your dad, does it like cultivate, I don't know, does it bring up questions while you're working? Does it manifest anything? You know, from a deeper perspective than, you know, just building together? Like, what does that create between you and your dad?
Well, when we started to build the treehouse, it was like, just to give perspective, I'm like 30 years old at this point.
Okay.
So all my 20s I'd spent in cities like this one.
Yeah.
And most of the time I don't see anything green at all. You know, I'm seeing like the concrete of the venue and the arena that we're in or whatever, and just not much time outside. And so because it's where I grew up, and I grew up in the woods, I have like Native American roots and Cherokee.
Okay. There it is.
That felt like home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The woods always felt like home. I would walk through the woods with my grandpa and find arrowheads, and he would show me like, look, this root, you can make a tea out of this, and it'll solve a headache, you know, cure a headache.
Wow.
Just really cool stuff
in South
like that.
Carolina,
So,
in the woods.
Yeah,
okay.
near the mountains.
That's cool.
So that's just how I grew up, and I knew that there was something special about that, because when I would return from being in cities and I would go back to the woods, I would feel sort of less stress. I would feel my spirit lift, and all of a sudden now I'm the observer. I can just enjoy nature, and it just teaches you things
Absolutely.
that you kind of don't expect. You're watching some ants and you're like, oh wow, this is just like this other thing in my life.
Yes.
And I need to understand that we gotta come together and have more touch points or something. I mean, it's so full of lessons like that. And so growing up with a builder dad and with just working around the farm a lot, he used that as a father. So this is for all the fathers. Yeah. That was his parenthood time. Yeah. That was his time to teach me things. Yeah. And he did an amazing job of that. My mom did the same thing too, because I'd work with her on the farm, work with her doing stuff. Okay. And so from both of them, there was sort of that, hey, we're doing this chore right now. And the chore is kind of, maybe it's mundane, maybe it's not fun, but we're gonna just have some conversation, and that's really what you're gonna take away from this. Yeah. And they're gonna get their work done.
That's right, that's right. So and we're gonna work you.
If you have kids, I mean, they're
work them.
Absolutely.
Are you an advocate for getting kids out on a farm and
100%
having them do that type of work?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it does. It forms a type of integrity, a type of ethic, right?
Sure.
When you do stuff like that.
Yeah, you see the impact of your work at an early age. You get to see how you can totally cause something to grow and blossom. Yeah. Or you can see how your neglect of your responsibility leads to decay.
Yeah.
There's a million lessons
Absolutely.
in the agrarian lifestyle, and it's the way humans have lived for thousands of years.
Yeah.
And now the industrial period, 300 or 400 years of that, which is a different mindset altogether, and where we're coming from, to now the digital age, where everything's kind of just comes to you.
Yeah.
And it's unhealthy to think that, everything is immediately available, because that is not how the real world works.
Yeah.
We're building 4 more tree houses right now in Charleston.
Yeah.
And that's a process.
Yeah.
People, the construction workers, sometimes they don't show up.
Yeah.
Sometimes you run into like big time obstacles with the county that you're building in.
Yeah.
So, there's no button that you get to push in the real world like you do on your phone, where you just get immediate access to things.
Yeah.
And so kids not having that ability to experience that is kind of sets them up for failure, because then everything in the real world is just hard.
Yeah.
It's so hard.
Right. Takes time.
Grow up on
instant
a farm,
everything
everything in the real world is easy.
Yeah, right, exactly. It's all slow, right?
Yeah, that'll be fine.
You get used to that, and then you're patient as ever, right? That's awesome. So, in the realm of the tree houses, you guys are building 4 more tree houses. You have this VIP suite, which, by the way, is amazing. The Majestic. What's a story that comes to the top of your head, maybe about a certain individual that visited, or maybe even your own story, about what that space and that experience has done in that story for that person?
One of my favorite things to do now, my wife and I'll do this, we'll read through the guest book.
Yeah.
But to our surprise, it reads more like a journal. Number one, because I think people have their cell phone down, and they're like, well, instead of putting this on Facebook or whatever, I want to really write out what I took away from this experience. And most people are saying, like, it's been years since me and my significant other stayed up talking about life, and where we just went on a long walk, and they're processing life, and we're getting to read about these stories. And the stories range, they're all over the place. People who were like literally thinking about maybe going their separate ways, coming together and just totally rebooting and processing a lot of what was difficult and how they're going to move past it, and re-emerging with more connect. Because really, we just get disconnected. We get in our own world sometimes, and then one thing leads to another, and before you know it, you feel like someone's working against you. All you need is time together to work that stuff out. Especially if for folks who aren't, like, my wife and I, we're both, you mentioned the personality thing earlier. We're, enthusiasts and peacemakers. She's a peacemaker first, I'm a peacemaker second on this. So anything happens, we're like, hey, should we talk about this? Let's talk about this. We don't want this to carry over to the next day.
That's great, man. Wow.
But not everybody's like that.
Right.
So I think we definitely help people who aren't like that to just kind of move past things victoriously. You ever get, so my wife and I have been in this situation where you ever get,
maybe there's a frustration going on, and my wife and I have been in these situations where we're both heated, right? And like, I'm thinking of things, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna say that. And like, she's probably thinking the same thing, I'm gonna say this, And then all of a sudden, she does this thing, and I hate it, because she'll go, I'm sorry. Like, I'm about to just like, and she goes, I'm sorry. And I'm like, no, you can't be sorry in this situation. I have to give my 2 cents, right? But I think that's so important, to have that mindset of, we're gonna come together in this moment, and we're gonna figure it out, and we're gonna communicate potentially even the daylights out of it until we bond over it, we make up over it, we become a team again, and we go after it, And I think that's one of the coolest things that I saw in the video of the treehouse, just seeing you guys together there, is our world lacks spaces where we can do that. It's literally a space where you can go and you can disconnect, but you can also come together and reevaluate things. I know we're getting some major background noise from the band in the back. How are they playing without you, by the way?
This is
He's going.
this is the sound check music,
Okay,
man. They
okay.
got 2 speakers.
They're yelling, Seth! But that's one thing that I think you guys have created such a cool environment for, is being able to kind of like cultivate a team again. Like we're gonna separate, we're gonna cultivate the team again, we're gonna bond again, we're gonna lock arms again. And then when we leave, we're gonna leave armed and ready to impact the world and live our purpose and our calling.
Yeah.
And I love that about what you guys have created. And those stories are really cool, by the way, just of people reigniting their relationship, things like that. And I think it's so important for all of us to know that we need to have spaces like that, more spaces like that, whether we're creating it in our home, whether we're going off and separating ourselves at the Treehouse. So I think it's really cool.
Yeah, my wife and I, we decided, the first Treehouse that was built, it was built for our honeymoon. I think I saw a story somewhere about a guy who built like the arbor, or built something fancy for the wedding, and I was like, I can do that. And I would kind of like to kind of show out for my wife and like impress her about building something, since that's my upbringing.
Puff your chest.
Yeah. So I'm like, I'm gonna build this Treehouse, and it's gonna be worthy of our honeymoon, and it's gonna be great. And it was, and we loved it. And then we just decided, just as a couple, we wanted to get away for like a quarterly vision casting retreat. Yeah. And we started doing that, and that's really what led us to the island where we're building the Treehouses now. It's the quietest place in Charleston. Like, you can hear birds.
It's an island? It's literally an
Charleston's
island.
made up of many different islands.
Yeah.
And this one is where like all the food was grown. And so large farms, no development.
Wow.
Really hardly any business activity at all. So it's just people living on the island, and that's it. So it's really quiet. And it also creates more space. But the intention, reason why we felt compelled to build 4 more Treehouses in Charleston is because we see the value ourselves in also, like, there's one thing to process things and to work through things, but even more so, dreaming together about the future. Yeah. And setting goals. We've had some really, very, very well established bloggers and entrepreneurs come, and that was their time where they were like, okay, I'm gonna have this space where magic can happen, and no one's bothering me, and then I can literally just think long about where this next year's going, where this next few months are going, and really make a solid plan for that.
Wow. And you guys have recently been awarded, you're the #1 Airbnb in the South.
In South Carolina, yeah.
In South Carolina. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys are the real deal, doing, and you guys are creating 4 more of these. How do people find out more about the Treehouses? They want to get, I know you guys have had waiting lists at times for the Treehouses. Where would they go to find out more?
BoultFarmTreehouse.com is the website, and they can find everything on there. Okay. That'll lead them to the Airbnb pages and stuff, since we have multiple listings now. Okay. But it's been we've met, my wife and I met with Brian Chesky, CEO of Airbnb.
Okay, cool.
And it was cool getting to talk to him, getting to hear his vision, and getting to see how we're very aligned with it, because there is a massive opportunity for people to use intentionality and create spaces that can elevate the human experience, and that can put us back on track for community, back on track for intention, for intentional time together where we're not so distracted. And I think that's part of what's made it #1. Is it just, whereas most hotels or most Airbnbs are just kind of like a building that's been repurposed for the purpose of making money. This is built from the ground up with the purpose of 2 people coming and having like a safe space where they leave, they dream, they're inspired. They leave better than they came. And everything's set up to where it's like, oh, you want to hang out here? You want to hang out here in the hot tub? You want to hang out here? Outside on a hanging bed? There's all kind of different places.
I love that, by the way. The hanging bed is awesome.
Enjoy nature, look up at the stars.
That's cool. And you guys got a fire pit, you got a grill going on up top, you got a cooler for food. People bring...
Yeah, refrigerators now, kitchenette, so you can stay for weeks if you want.
That's awesome. Have you had people stay for weeks?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Other people come to honeymoon, which is just the coolest thing in the world. They're like, I want to start our life together, in a really cool place. And
how cool is that? You guys are a part of that.
Yeah.
They'll never forget that. And what the stories that those walls are going to tell year after year after year, you know, is really, really cool. One thing, Seth, that, you know, I really admire about you is your ability to, you're a very centered person, you know, and I know we all deal with our stuff, but you obviously, you have a really neat background of parents who loved you and, you know, walked you through the steps that it took to actually be a person of integrity. What is something, because immediately when I met you, I thought, this guy's at peace. Just thought it, man. I was like, this guy's at peace. He can be nutty too, but he's at peace. But what brings you the most peace in your life? What are you tapping into that, no matter what, like I know there's times, but what gets you centered? What gets you peace again?
Well, my wife calls me Dr. Chill.
Does she? That's a great name.
And whenever you know things are getting crazy, she's like, I need a Dr. Chill pep talk.
I love it.
I think I've been at the place where I've ridden the emotional roller coaster of, you know, getting bad news and like having it wreck me for days, where it like takes me off track and I'm just kind of worthless in terms of productivity. And I just wanted, I don't know, I wanted to be protected from that. And so kind of like a not seeing the forest for the trees kind of situation. I've learned when I feel stressed, I get peace from zooming out, from taking a different perspective altogether. And sometimes that's zooming out to like 30,000 feet. Sometimes that's zooming out to like the universe, and processing life and what's happening through my faith. And I think that's probably what brings me the most peace is just having a confidence in the belief that, you know, what's going to happen in my life. You know, I do believe that there are certain things that are it's a purpose, you know, or a calling, like something I'm supposed to do. And so typically I'm not going to attempt anything if I don't feel like it lines up with that calling or like what I'm supposed to do. And what can be confusing about that is that in pursuing that calling, you still run into challenges. You still run into obstacles. You're never immune from that. But the big mind shift change that happened for me just a couple of years ago was I always looked at those problems and obstacles as like direct threats or like you know, those were just things that kind of just pull the rug out from under me. But now I look at them as opportunities for things to roll out in a different way than I thought was planned, because I don't know what's going to happen. None of us do. You know, so if you approach it from that arrogance, like, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and nothing's going to be in my way, and I'm just going to do it, then you're set up to fail. But now I look at it as more of the journey to the destination is the point. We think the destination is the point. That's right. It's not. That's right. Like, okay, so you get there. All right, you built this treehouse. Then what? You know? Like, well, no, the point wasn't necessarily to finish it. The point was now to learn all the things along the way. Like, wow, we've had to become so much better at negotiating prices. We've had to become so much better at, you know, community and like preparing the community that we're about to work with us. You know, so we're literally telling them, hey, you know, this is what we're all about. You know, that's a different skill set altogether that you know, neither of those we really had beforehand. So I look at each little project as an opportunity to learn a whole bunch of new stuff, because it's going to have it'll have many new challenges and obstacles that you have to overcome. So if you look at the obstacles, it's like, oh, this is in my way, I want to be done quicker. You're never going to appreciate those obstacles for the growth points that they are. But when you do, you kind of look at each day like, okay, I have no idea what's about to happen today, but I'm sure I'm going to run into some trouble, some obstacles, some pushback, some whatever. So there's your opportunity to grow today. This is your school of life. That's it.
And so I love this conversation, because purpose and calling, I think we all go back to that. At the end of the day, we're like, everyone wants purpose, you know? We all want to be in the center of that. What's your purpose? What's your calling?
Right now my purpose is, I think my purpose is getting people to just take a time out and stop. And musically, I can't take credit for the amazing lyrics that NeedToBreathe writes, because that's the brothers, Bear and Bo Reinhardt. Like, they're phenomenal songwriters. I've learned so much from them, and I've learned so much from just how honest they are in songs. The lyrics that they're writing straight from like their heart and what they're dealing with, and I've watched that connect with people. Every night we have people come and say, like, your music has helped me through one of the toughest things in the world. And that might be like losing a parent. That might be going through a divorce. That might be losing a child. Or dealing with just really, really heavy stuff. And people need music to allow them to kind of escape that reality for a minute and get perspective on their situation. And so the Treehouse is the same thing. Like, it's so valuable that we as humans distance ourselves from distraction in order to process, in order to move forward, in order to grow. So I feel like my calling is to preach that message of like how important rest is, and how important it is to recharge yourself, because ambition's great. It's, but it's self-serving. And like, you will run out of gas if you have these big dreams and then you're just constantly chasing and then you're never taking time to recharge yourself. It's easy to get lost in that. Our culture tells us a totally different message. It does. It's like, if you don't look, hey, this might be the weekend, but if you're going to get ahead, or if you're going to meet your goals, you got to keep going. But it's kind of like one of those, it's better to give than receive. How does that work? Sometimes it's better to rest than to just press through.
I mean, and it's true. It's so easy to come from a place of, like we talked about, busyness, coming from a place of do instead of reside. And especially in our world today, it's so easy to fall into that just rapid fire, go, because that's what we see. We see highlight reels, everywhere we turn, there's comparison going on. But it's like, when you back away and truly come from a place of rest, which I didn't really understand what that meant for the longest time, like coming from a place of rest. Like, because I always thought, when I come from a place of rest, like, I'm all groggy. Like, I think about my morning routine. I think about waking up early and being groggy, but it's actually like soulful rest. When you come from a place of soulful rest, for me, it grounds me to who I am again. It grounds me to my Creator. Like you shared, my value is no longer in the people that are speaking into me, even though they can be wonderful and great. But people are going to let us down. Things are going to let us down. And when we can truly ground ourselves to who created us and why we're here and our calling, now we come, to me, that's the place of rest. It's a beautiful thing. And I look at what you've created, what you guys have created, the Treehouse being that center, that epitome of rest, And by the way, I love the style, man.
Thanks.
It's like a very Nashville-esque, very magical storybook look to it. It's really cool.
Thanks. And earlier you called it an escape.
An escape.
And like, I felt myself kind of like tighten up a little bit, because I think it's only an escape in terms, because a lot of times you hear people talk about escaping. Escapism,
oh yeah, like a negative connotation.
Yeah, as if it's sort of like, well, you can go pretend that the world doesn't exist. But I think it's the opposite of that. What you're really escaping from, and you're right, is all the cultural stuff, the stuff that's kind of pressed on us, like, this is what you got to do, this is what you got to be, you got to buy this house, you got to buy this car, you got to do all this stuff. Yeah, you're escaping from that, but it's a return to just your pure spirit, yourself, in nature. Because when you remove those layers and those wrappers, that's when the centering can happen, because you're getting pulled this way to be this guy, and you're getting pulled this way to be this person for this person, and that's what can become overwhelming. Instead of escape, I think like retreat. It's a retreat to just your essential self and who you are and what you want to do. Thinking about all these big questions that you're asking. It makes room for that.
It does. It does.
And it's important to escape the culture that we live in order to not just be conformed to it and doing the same things everyone else is doing.
That's awesome. I love this question. This question was asked to me a while back, but I want to ask it to you. If you had a billboard and you could write one thing on that billboard and the whole world could see it, what would you write on it?
Asked this question.
Did he?
People, yeah.
Okay.
I've been reading.
What would it be?
Oh,
okay. Okay.
Shared their responses.
So that means the guy who asked me got it from Tim, probably.
Right.
We're sharing it.
Yeah. Well, I got it from whoever.
I got it from right.
What would I put on a billboard?
Yeah.
Slow down.
Love it, man. Love it. Parentheses, in a treehouse.
Yeah.
I love it, man. And why? And slow down just because life's fast.
Yeah. We have the best times when we lose track of time. I mean, you'll hear people talk about playing a board game with their family as if it's the best thing in the world, and the truth is, you probably had to wait on somebody to do their turn consistently, and you probably didn't win, but it's just amazing to lose track of time because everything's so time focused. Yeah. So I'm kind of like, as an entrepreneur, I think there's nothing more important than time management. Yeah. So I'm definitely not advocating, just like being aloof. Yeah. But what I've learned is that by managing your time well, really great time management means time for rest, and it means time to reset. And without the rest component, you could schedule your life and it's still just not going to shake out the way you want if you don't have a full battery to pull from. Yeah, for sure. Speaking about books, you mentioned Tim Ferriss's Tools for Titans. Are you into any books right now that you'd like to recommend to anybody out there? I'm actually at the end of that one. Okay. Yeah. Thought it was good? I've loved it. Yeah. It's been in its bite-sized chunks. Each bio, I usually have their takeaways from each entrepreneur that's in there, each creative person, writer. It's just a very large swath of successful people sharing what's been good to them. And I read this sentence 2 nights ago that really blew me up. It was one of the big bold quotes. It said, "Happiness is wanting what you already have." That's huge. And I just had to go out. We were on the coast, and so I read that, and I was like, I'm just gonna go to the beach and think about this for a little while. Mull it over. Let it marinate. Yeah. That's awesome, man. Yeah, I love stuff like that. If you could recommend one takeaway, or maybe not even recommend, but just give a takeaway from this conversation to people out there, what would be one thing that you would want to emphasize, maybe to go out and do, or a mandate, or maybe just a thought that you would want people to take away from this conversation? Great question. You can think on it. I don't know. I mean, I can only talk about my experience. Definitely don't have all the answers. But I think that just my mission is to encourage people to take time, not because we have a treehouse that people can come stay in. You can do it anywhere, and it doesn't have to be about money or anything. You don't even have to spend money. Yeah. Just carving out the time to reflect, to like really process things, either by yourself or with your significant other. There's nothing like it, and getting that rest, taking like a sabbatical or having like a Sabbath day of the week where you just shut it down and you remind yourself, like, look, I'm not saving the world here. Yeah. Like, as much as I think I am Monday through Friday, this is work. Yeah. And it's gonna move on. Like, what higher aspirations, even faith, like making sure that you're really that you spend enough time thinking about faith, and because that's going back to your peace question. I mean, I don't think I would feel peace without a reassurance of faith, and without the belief that God has a plan for my life. I'm not in control of it. I don't want to be in control of it. Yeah. What's going to happen is going to happen, and I'm gonna do my best to just show up rested and ready for it. Yeah. It's awesome, man. No better way to come at life than that, man. Being able to release, I think, is so powerful. Being able to surrender
is so powerful. Oftentimes those words, we think, well, that's weakness. It's actually strength.
Yeah.
You know, I love that.
I love reading older philosophers like Seneca.
Okay, yeah.
Native
yeah.
American too. So,
Yeah.
I mean, and like,
And your mom was Native American? Is that?
I get it from both sides of my
both
family.
Both sides.
Mostly
Okay.
my mom. Yeah.
Okay.
He talks about the idea of practicing poverty and basically living below your means as a way of really experiencing freedom and happiness. And I just recently read it, said that you can find happiness and freedom much quicker occasionally practicing poverty or sort of living with very, very minimal, and understanding how happy you can be there. Then you can find freedom and happiness from chasing wealth. I talked to a billionaire the other night, Texas billionaire, and he's a billionaire twice over. So he made a fortune, decided this is not for me, sold it, or not sold it, he gave his money away, and then decided he did want to get back into business and became a billionaire again. And what he said was that he knows lots of the billionaires in Texas, and he said none of them are happy.
Wow.
Can you imagine?
Crazy.
Like most of us are kind of like
crazy.
We're going from like, you know, I remember watching my parents go from like lower class to middle class. And I got to watch that transformation and learn so much about hard work, you know, and what the work it takes to do that. And some people who are watching your show are transitioning from middle to upper class or something like that. And, yet, when you really look at the guys who have been the most successful at all these things that we're thinking about, it doesn't lead them to happiness.
So true. So true.
Because he said this, he was like, we're talking about dreams. I had this dream to do this. He's like, man, it's so cool to hear you talking about your dreams. I haven't had one of those in a long time. Because think about it, if you got all the money in the world, what are you dreaming for?
What are you dreaming about, right?
He's like, I could buy a new car every day.
Wow.
So really, only after he did that did he realized, he was like, you know what, there's got to be more to life than money.
Wow. And
what is it? And that led him to faith. And now he's sharing his faith with the other billionaires and just being like, look, we all know money's not going to make us happy by this point. Let me tell you what's really working for me.
Yeah. And isn't that crazy how you can either allow yourself to get there, or I think you can learn that lesson now. Don't you agree? It's like some people think, well, I got to get there, right? Well, he's a billionaire or he's a millionaire or whatever. He has all the resources to be able to say, well, I don't want it anymore. But the fact is that when you truly tap into what's meaningful and valuable in this life, you don't have to have a single cent, you know? It's like, it blew me away when I went to Sri Lanka. I traveled to Sri Lanka, and these people, this robust tribe living out in this jungle, were the happiest people that I had ever met. It blew me away. And they just had nothing, but they had community, and they had each other, and they had, they would share everything. But I just think, is it possible to go back to that in this environment that we live in? And I keep coming back to the answer is absolutely yes. You just, again, grounding yourself to what truly matters. But that's really powerful. I love that you said that. Especially, being in a position that you're in to speak to so many lives and millions of people traveling all over the world, and still, you're coming back to that one thing, which is find your value, find your worth in the things that are truly meaningful, because those other things they're gonna fade away, And the one thing that always brings me back to is thinking about this one day is all we have. Actually, this moment between you and I is all we have. I mean, we don't know what tomorrow's gonna bring, in the next few hours is gonna bring, So that's awesome, man. I love it. Do you have any final thoughts or anything like that you want to share before we end this amazing conversation? I really don't want to end this conversation because it's so good. Meaningful conversations need to take place more like this, Right,
yeah.
But I do want you to say the website again for the tree houses.
Okay. Yeah.
But before that, anything that you want to add?
I think we covered a lot of good ground. I mean, I think we talked about peace.
Yeah.
And whether you have peace or you don't.
That's it.
And I know I definitely, from living a big chunk of my life without peace, it's kind of like the lonely thing. You don't know you're lonely until you find someone who who completely changes that,
Yeah.
and then you realize how lonely you were.
Yeah.
Peace is the same way. Only until you felt real, true peace can you look back at the time when you were like, wow, I was a wreck.
Yeah.
And so I would encourage everyone to find that first.
Yeah.
Because money's not going to make you happy. Your job, like success, awards, none of that is going to make you happy. So it's better to learn that lesson than to get to the end of your life and realize, like, man, why did I waste so much time doing this stuff that my culture told me I was supposed to do? And why did I neglect time to rest and reflect and actually operate from like a place of purpose?
Yeah, it's awesome, man. It's awesome.
And then the website's boltfarmtreehouse.com, since you asked for that.
Awesome. Everybody out there, thank you so much for joining Seth and I. Seth, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. It was a pleasure. For everybody out there, you know, I think the key thing that Seth and I continue to make a point in our own lives is to access that peace that surpasses all understanding, and make sure every day you're intentionally finding that space where you can escape, where you can create a value system for yourself, and you can continue to press in to your Creator, continue to press in to the things that truly are important on this earth. So without any more words, I could probably talk for another 10 more minutes, but we just want to thank all of you for being with us today. Thank you for being who you are. You are a superhuman. Just remind yourself of that. You were created in the likeness of a superhuman, and we thank you for being with us. Have an awesome day.
And we cut to the collage of band photos.
Boom!